I got nowhere else to turn. Stonehill is going to kill me.
Don't drag me into your mess, Bertenno. Not again.
Then you leave me no choice. I'm sorry.
Hey, come back with that! Madico!
Hello and welcome all to session 7 of my Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire Lorethrough. We are currently in the Brass Citadel in Imperial Command. We just spoke with this person here. Nope, that was Seraphin. This person, Atsura, who gave us a quest. Don't remember exactly what that quest was. I'll look that up later. Wanted to start today by continuing to read from the guidebook. We're going to continue reading about the timeline of the Deadfire. Last time we read about the Deadfire before empires started to explore and settle there. We learned about how Valia, the Republic of Valia, was kind of falling apart. It's now called Old Valia. We learned about how there was at some point an Engwithan presence in the Deadfire Archipelago, and there was some evidence to suggest that they had worked with the Huana, the natives of the Deadfire Archipelago, at some point on something. And we are going to continue to read today. This is from 2708 AI, and it's called Forging of the Valian Trading Company. Just for a little bit of a timeline, that's 2708, and we are playing this game in 2828. So it's about 120 years ago when this took place. Years after the Valian republics declared their independence, the ruling dukes sought to solidify their freedom from a position of economic strength. They felt pressured to justify the worth of the young government, to reinforce the mindset and unity and success, and most notably to ensure the future stability through robust trade. Responding to these emergent needs, the dukes sponsored the formation of the Valian Trading Company, a conglomeration of banking and shipping interests that was privately owned and operated with the sole objective of bringing wealth to the republics. That would be the Valian republics. Though not explicitly outlined in any charter, the trading company had the freedom to do whatever it took to deliver a return to the republic's investment. Any semblance of law in the republics was focused on their own internal governments, and with little regard given to international concerns, making the young trading company a lawless and ethically compromised endeavor from the outset. So we could see how some of these people at some point formed the Principi, which is the group of pirates. Cruelty, embezzlement, and unlawful seizure of assets amounted to only a few of the lesser offenses perpetuated in the name of the homeland. Regular manipulation of their currency's value was financially reckless, but easily... I think this is a typo here. ACCVVROUGHT. I think it's supposed to say either acquired. Yeah, I'm just going to say acquired. Regular manipulation of the currency's value was financially reckless but easily acquired coin to the burgeoning city-states. The dukes would defend and justify any act committed in the name of the republics. In its earliest days, the trading company profited from buying out, supplanting, and overpowering existing trade interests and striking deals to fill the manufactured gap. Regions which relied on bear squash, zvef, or saltpeter experienced few interruptions as the Valian Trading Company occupied the vacancy they had created. As more foreign outposts bloomed, the company redirected its focus to making uncommon resources available anywhere they could reach, monopolizing rarity itself and growing every post in the indispensable resources upon which many economies learned to thrive. So it seems like the beginning of the Valian Trading Company was in a response to the fall of Old Valia, and them wanting to take some kind of measure to keep themselves afloat, basically. And because this was kind of like a drastic time, they were allowed to do a lot of things that wouldn't normally be so legal. And so the Valian Trading Company was formed, and they, often through nefarious means, were able to build a name and a reputation for themselves and start supplying places around the world with resources that they might not have natively, and they started to kind of grow in power because of this. Okay, so let's continue on. We are done with our exploration of the Brass Citadel. Oh my god, we have a lot of quests here. We have a bounty. We have to still confront the alley thugs. We have to find our way to Delver's Row, which is through the gullet. We also have to find some kind of passage for Bia and her children from a place in the gullet. I'm just trying to find this. And we see here we have a lot of bounties, so it differentiates here between the different factions. So we have the Principe, which is below the man down. This means, oh, we have to sail to Fort Deadlight. That one we got from Ferrante, who was the person who, I don't know, loaned us Seraphim, one of the members of our party. Then we have the Valiant Trading Company, the Royal Deadfire Company, and I think this is what we just got. Yeah, Atsura asked me to thwart the Valiant Trading Company's plans for Pokokohara. So we had to go to this place, and he wanted us to render the Luminous Adra there unusable. So I'm not exactly sure how we would do that, but he wants to somehow disrupt the Valiant Trading Company and their plans for this place. And we are going to see often in this game, the different factions are working against each other. The factions being the Huana, the natives, the Valiant Trading Company, the Royal Deadfire Company, which is where we are now, and the Principe Sempetrena. All right. So let's head on over to, let's leave this part of Neketaka. And go to whatever, another area that we have not explored yet. Let's go to the Sacred Stair. The Sacred Stair is a place where we have been able to go, but haven't, like it's open to us, but we haven't actually gone there yet. So let's see. This is Queensberth over here. That was the first place that we entered Neketaka. We went to the Gullet, which is where the Reparo, the lower castes, live. And a lot of garbage from the upper city falls down too. Then we are currently in the Brass Citadel. We've gone into every building here that we could. Some of them are locked. And now we are going to the Sacred Stair. So we have some people sparring over here, and we have a Monk of Mogren that is leading them, Mark Vanderbeege and High Priest Hati. Let's talk to these people. You find a man of middle years inspecting a metal tool unlike anything you've seen. He has several similarly strange items on his belt, all quite clean and orderly. They look like the tools one might use to pull a tooth or a shoe, a horse, but much more delicate. He wears pristine cream-colored robes. The muzzle of an arquebus is visible just over his shoulder. His eyes brighten when he notices you. Because of our arcana, the man's robes shimmer with a faint trace of arcane energy. Glyphs stitched into the hems and sleeves seem to be the source of the effect.
A good day, traveler. I see you've taken an eye to my instruments. If you've any interest in the medical sciences, you need only ask.
So this is some kind of doctor?
Well then. Questions?
Tell me about yourself.
I'm a researcher in the medical sciences. And before you ask, no, I don't mean animancy. Neither do I mean magic, nor, gods forbid, necromancy. Medicine. Study of the kith body, its inner workings and such.
So, just want to say here, last game I remember wondering if referring to, can't remember his name, in the catacombs underneath Defiance Bay as a necromancer. I wonder if that was kind of like a holdover, like it was an early quest that they did, and then they had decided to go to animancy, which is more scientific than necromancy usually is. But here, this guy also mentions necromancy. So I'm going to say that both animancy and necromancy exist in this world. Animancy is often frowned upon, but it is practiced. And necromancy is probably illegal because we hear about it very little, and this guy doesn't even seem to like to think about it.
I've misgivings about magic use. It's useful, I'll grant you that. But it's a crutch. Stunts our scientific development, you understand. Makes me a bit unpopular, as you can no doubt imagine, which is why I've got this arquebus here.
What do you mean by unpopular?
A patient of mine died under questionable circumstances. One morning they were fine, and the next they were dead. Someone is trying to discredit my work, I just know it, but they won't succeed.
So he doesn't want to blame himself for this death?
I came here to the archipelago to evade my rival's attempts at sabotage, and there certainly is quite a lot of work in the Deadfire, I must tell you.
Can you teach me what you've learned in your research?
I've told you of my troubles. I suppose it's the least I can do. Settle in now. I've got a lecture prepared for just this occasion. Of course, it will cost you 3,000 copper.
Okay, so I can enhance my skills here. I can enhance alchemy and religion if I listen to him, but I have to pay 3,000 copper. I might do that at some point, but I'm not going to do that right now. No, I don't think so.
Should you change your mind, you'll find me here.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to guess that there are going to be other people we run into that can increase our skills like that. Got a Forsaken Cat. Posy. Who gives us a +1 to all fire keyword power levels. I guess if we count spells or something like that, cast spells that have fire.
Happily.
Got some white yennefer and ale. Let's talk to High Priest Hati. The Magranite priest has the build of a boulder. His thick-set frame stretches his fine robes at the seams. He regards you with a steady, calm gaze, nodding in greeting.
Be welcome. We gather to honor the goddess, for we must earn the strength to endure the darkest of life's battles.
I didn't expect to see so many foreigners at the temples.
It is an opportunity to learn. What good is a fighter who knows how to defend against a single enemy? If we must one day fight one another, such is Magran's will. Each obstacle is a challenge we must answer. These are whetstones that sharpen us into fine blades.
So we heard a lot about Magran's trials in the first game through Durance. The idea that if you are a Magranite, then your god just basically puts you through trial after trial in hopes of testing you and making you stronger. This is your temple.
Akira, rain and wind is a better teacher than any priest. A fighter accustomed to comfort earns only bruises.
Which way to the palace? The priest blinks. His smile is warm, but there is little amusement in it.
Follow the path as it climbs the mountain, all the way to the Serpent's Crown. You will see it.
See what happens if I tell him that Magran and I aren't on the best of terms.
Do you believe so? It is not in might alone that Magran holds influence. There is purpose, conviction, achievement. You may honor her in many ways.
Farewell. So I didn't do this yet. This is a map of the Sacred Stair. This here is the Temple of Magran, which is where we are. We have the road south where we came from. Over here we have a Temple of Gaun. Seems like it's kind of in disrepair there. There's a merchant up here. There is a road north. Another merchant. Another merchant. The Spire of the Soul-Seers is up here. Then we have that's still the Spire of the Soul-Seers. And we have the Temple of Berath. And the Hanging Sepulchres. So it seems like this is the Sacred Stair, and it seems like this is where a lot of worship houses are. We have Aethys represented, Magran represented, and Berath.
Of course.
Some weapons. Magran's blessing is a shield. This fragment of a much larger shield has been reworked to fit a bearer's arm comfortably. The surface of the mysterious metal is warm to the touch and grows hotter when tensions rise, though its searing energy is a comfort to anyone wielding it. In the heat of battle, driving the shield into an enemy's face would leave a memorable scar. Huh.
Indeed.
We have an arbalist and a logger. Go over here first.
Gaun, shed light upon my path.
We have some Gaun worshippers here. This says Temple of Gaun. And this says Sacred Stair. I wonder if that means... We'll check that out later. Let's go into the temple first. Is someone named Adark?
So it is you. I could not think of a reason why your ghost should haunt the Deadfire, save to haunt me. And that smacks of arrogance.
Adark smiles crookedly at you, something which causes the soldier beside him to regard you with bemused curiosity. Is this somebody that we met in the first game?
Sister.
Adark turns towards Shodi, bowing her head. Blessing. Shodi tries not to preen, so they have some history here, huh? Adark gestures, and the soldier turns away. He steps in closer toward you, as if to share a conspiratorial whisper, but you notice that he's looking elsewhere, behind you, around you.
Another collection of spirits? The rumor was that Cad Nua was destroyed, and you with it.
Okay.
I'm sorry to hear it.
Oops, sorry I interrupted him there. Adark is the Raid Saren commander that we ran into in the White March DLC. He also was or is a watcher. And because of that, I was able to kind of convince him to help us rather than attack Stalwart and Durgan's battery. Okay. Adark, I thought you'd go back to Raid Saris.
I did in time. Once I thought I'd summoned up the words to explain what happened in the White March. None of it made much sense to the Regency, but my men stood by me. If I was mad, so were they. When the priest spoke of Aethys' return, I volunteered to come, along with a few of my men. I think the Morning Council was content to have me out of the way. That's putting it all very simply. But then, I suspect few of us have simple reasons for coming to the Deadfire.
He regards you expectantly. Locked out here. Oh, because I'm not from the Deadfire. Still fretting about your watcher abilities. Adarik's jaw tenses and he looks away, shifting uncomfortably.
I don't know. I came here on a pilgrimage of a kind. Neketaka is full of spirits. And the sea, where to begin?
Self-loathing is a blight on the soul, Adaric. Don't make your journey through hell darker than it has to be.
Adaric.
You're right, of course, sister.
Adaric stands up a little straighter, as if scolded. He shifts uncomfortably, his gaunt face drawn.
You are a watcher still, yet you are neither mad nor killed. It's good to see.
I found the man behind my awakening and put my past lives to rest. Talking about Theos there, the main antagonist of the first game.
The cure you sought, and which I was weak enough to doubt. See, there. Determination will win out every time. And now you are on to new challenges.
I'm tracking down Aethys.
So, his appearance has renewed your faith as well. I think for once I am content to wait. If our God wishes to speak with us, wishes anything of us, he will give us a sign. The priests pray daily for it.
What do you want from Aethys, Adric?
I would know if he has a plan for Rayetsaris.
Seemed to remember he already had one. Just wasn't any good.
Reference here to the Saints' War from Adair, when Aethys inhabited the body of a Rayetsaran farmer and led a war and he was eventually destroyed, along with people thought Aethys, and that might have been true, but eventually Aethys came back to life.
Yes, play the jealous child. All you knew of his plan was that you weren't part of it.
Aethys had something he wanted to get done, and he chose Rayetsaris to pay the price. Yet here you are, begging for more. Say what you want about dear Woodens, but at least they got a will of their own.
Should I be diplomatic here, or should I stand up for Adair? Adair enough.
You're right. That was uncalled for. I apologize.
Adric takes a step back, red-faced. Sorry, Adric, I lost your sword, along with my castle.
That sword was only meant to keep you alive through your ordeal. It's fulfilled its purpose.
What news of Rayetsaris?
Each missive from the Deadfire raises new tumult. Some believe our Lord restored, while others doubt. We've done penance for many long years. None of us know what forgiveness ought to look like.
It doesn't seem like Aethys has his mind on forgiveness these days.
See you around, Adric.
Take care, and may the shining God light your way.
It's interesting. A lot of times if they have a nameplate and they're associated with some kind of quest or something, that was just there for color, it looks like. Maybe he's important for something later, but he's just kind of, it seems to me like he's just there to let us know what people are up to since the last game. Got some Diabo Awusa, baby pearls, it's currency.
Gaun hears your prayers, surely as I do.
Oh, an abandoned cat. Man, there are a lot of pets in this game. Brown Nils, who gives us +3 accuracy with melee attacks.
Thank you.
Offerings of fruit, bread, and even wine have been set here for the temple. Let's talk to High Priestess Sewin. As you approach, a wood elf straightens over an altar to Gaun. Her robes mark her as a high priestess. She arches and cracks her back loudly, a satisfied grin spreading across her face soon after.
Jody, I do hope you are not getting into trouble now.
Makes sense that a lot of people in this temple would know Shodi.
Who, me? No, I wouldn't dream of it.
She smiles at the sight of a stranger. You're the high priestess of this temple. Priestess of this temple.
Do swine stink like shit?
She hits you with a toothy smile, eyes glittering with amusement.
I'm guessing you're not here to worship. Then what can I do for you?
You're devotees of Gaun. What about Aethys' other manifestations?
Gaun's the only one that matters.
Shodi scoffs. Sewin shuts her eyes, exhales sharply, and then opens them again to regard you with a patient smile.
The Shining God's got many faces, but they're all his to wear. Divine King Widewind, he saw the dawn stars, telling him of things to come. But it's Gaun, with sickle and lantern, that's come to the Deadfire.
Divine King Widewind, he saw the dawn stars telling him of things to come, but it's Gaun with sickle and lantern that's come to dawn. Okay, so this aspect of Gaun is the one of Aethys is the one that they believe has come here. And that makes sense, because he is associated with death and harvest, and that's kind of what he's doing. He's making his way through the Deadfire, and it seems like he's taking souls with him as he goes.
Our God's returned, and he's gonna bring balance to the world. He's gonna right all the wrongs we have suffered. Gaun will bring a new beginning for all of us when that hour comes.
You must be getting a lot of people in here these days.
Oh, yes. People are afraid, angry. Change can be frightening. But what did any of us come here for, if not a new beginning?
Doesn't this place get a little damp?
No more than anywhere else. No sense fighting it. The water sustains our faith, surely as it does these trees.
Yeah, it seems like they don't mind. There is a layer of water on the ground all over this place, and people are kneeling in it, standing in it, so it doesn't seem to bother them. We're looking for someone. She may have been through here years back. I think this is for Adair.
We receive followers of the Shining God every day. You might want to speak with Nordegand over there.
She points to her right.
She's been here the longest, and takes care to know everyone of our faith.
Farewell.
Of course.
Though weathered in age, this tree is dotted with buds and nascent branches, indicating new growth. This is Nordegand, the person who we were going to speak to for the person that Adair is looking for.
Here for a meal? Just get in line, dear. Ain't no trick to it.
Hey, there's a lady I'm looking for. Came from Deerwood.
Adair waves a hand at the old woman's face as though expecting cataracts she does not appear to have.
Short, got a bad temper. Goes by Alava Mazzy. Heard of her?
I know an Alava, but that ain't a surname.
No?
Adair's jaw shifts sideways to gnaw on his pipe stem.
Not real warm, that one. Stop by unannounced, you get a pistol up your nose when she answers the door.
Imagine settlers have to keep their guard up around here.
Yeah, that's her. So, she's living with her, husband, then?
I'm going to say he says that because Nordegand said that was not... She didn't have the same last name as when Adair knew her. This is... I mean, I don't know if they actually thought about this or anything, but obviously we are used to when a man and a woman get married to each other, often a woman will take the last name of the man that she marries. In Aora, in at least the first book, the guidebook for that, it talks about how men and women are basically just... Sometimes in some cultures they have different roles, but there's no like gender inequality the way at least it exists in our world, which kind of confuses me a little bit that women would still be expected to take their husband's last name when they get married. So I don't know if that was just kind of like an oversight, they just kind of like took it for granted, or maybe this is a culture where women are expected to do that, or maybe you could just get to choose who takes whose name, or you can choose to keep both of your names. Not sure about that. It's just a thought I had. I was listening to them here. All right, sorry about that. Continuing.
Not that I noticed.
Adair exhales a surprising amount of air, meaning that she doesn't have a husband.
Huh. Must be laying low.
Just that boy of hers.
Adair's body goes perfectly still. It seems to waver in the breeze. Like a sun, I guess.
She's got a son? How old would you say? Like a little boy?
Trying to figure out if maybe he's the father. Alloth's eyes go wide with shock, then delight. He's watching Adair the way a cat watches a wounded mouse. He might be glad to see Adair uncomfortable, since Adair takes such joy in Islamir showing herself from Alloth's awakened soul.
I'd be happy to help you with the math.
Something the matter?
Nah, just curious.
Adair's grip on his pipe has caused the color to drain from his knuckles.
Oh, I couldn't say. It's been years. He must be a young man by now.
Wow, that's something. Well, thanks for your help.
Don't you want to know where to find her?
Yeah, I was just about to ask.
She's in Hasongo, last I heard. Got a little plot of land out there.
I guess we'll look that way then. Much obliged.
Alright, so we have a place to go for Adair's quest now. And maybe a son.
Indeed.
Gaun has been depicted with a warm smile, but the eyes beneath his hood hold unsettling fervor. So this is a statue of Gaun here, with the sickle and the lantern, which is what Shodi uses as well. Some currency.
Of course.
We have a dream journal. The writing in this tattered scrap of paper looks like it was penned by someone still half asleep. Have you ever had a dream so real that you wanted Aethys so badly that you could do anything? A line is drawn through the writing, below which his author has scrawled, "No more cheese before bed." Sure, I'll take that. Why not?
Indeed.
This would be stealing. Just some fresh fruit. Probably offerings. Here's we are speaking to an acolyte of Aethys.
Hungry? Come on up. Don't be shy.
Actually, I'd like to make a donation.
The Shining God will bless you for it, sir. That coin will help those in need.
The man bows his head. Got minor positive reputation with Child of Dawnstars and Neketaka. Here's Wharton. That name sounds familiar.
I can't believe it. Is that really you?
Solid meals and decent sleep have filled Wharton's lean frame out somewhat, but the man retains a fox-like aspect around the face. He greets you with an indecisive smile, unsure of whether to be nervous or pleased.
And Adair, you made it out of Gilded Vale for good then. I'm glad.
A lot more might have made it out if you hadn't left them for dead.
Adair's fists clench and unclench several times. Don't remember what he did.
I haven't forgotten. It's why I'm here, Adair.
Wharton doesn't meet Adair's eyes. It takes visible effort for him to meet yours. I wonder if this is the guy that we found in the bottom of the temple who was hurt and we had to figure out what was going on in the decrepit temple to Aethys in Gilded Vale. Wharton, what are you doing here?
I kept to my word. I started trying to help around town like you told me. When the Hollowborn curse ended, it was like... You can't imagine what that meant to everyone. We had some good years. Then word came through that the Dawn Stars were coming out here, that the Shattered God was back to being the Shining God. Blazes, I tossed and turned about it. I figured there couldn't be a clearer sign.
Yeah, so I think it's him because I do remember because he had, I can't remember exactly, but he had something to do with the death down there. He was kind of coerced into doing some pretty horrible things. Like, he didn't have that much of a choice, but we said as penance rather than kill him or turn him in or something like that, that he could help the people in Gilded Vale, and it seems like he did that.
So now I'm doing what I can, handing out food mostly, or delivering supplies. Familiar work, I guess. Took some getting used to, working shoulder to shoulder with Raid Sarens, but it's not so hard as you'd think. Feels like I'm on the right path, toward a little piece of redemption, maybe?
I guess everyone's chasing after Aethys these days.
You too, eh? Don't know what you have to be sorry for. Would be nice to get some answers, maybe. Or forgiveness for getting his people killed. I don't know.
Well, good luck.
Doing my best, Lord.
Wharton smiles and inclines his head in a bow. Okay, so another person just to provide some history.
You know how I've been saying there's nothing more important to me than us freeing you from Berath's bonds? Well, I meant that. I did.
Adair's breath lingers in his chest and his mouth hangs ajar, throwing his statement into immediate doubt.
But there's this other thing I need to see about. On the way, like. I was gonna tell you.
In a journey full of obstacles, what's one more?
I don't see it like an obstacle. Not unless she's mad. She might be mad. This woman, well, love's not the right word. But she was something to me once, back in Gilded Vale.
He pauses.
After the legacy ended, all I could think about was how to repair what the gods had done. To me, that meant seeing about making Aethasians feel safe in their own homes. That's how I found the night market. After a while of that, I got to thinking about the days just after the war, when we all stopped feeling safe in the first place. Mostly I thought of the woman I couldn't help, who had to leave her home in the dead of night carrying a little baby that had no soul. Last I saw her, she was going to New Hayamar. Went looking for her there, only to find that she'd left a long time ago. Anyway, I don't expect you to understand, but I gotta know she ended up all right.
Sounds like she ended up with a son.
Yeah, that's something. Coming out of Deerwood during that time. I mentioned the baby she had when I knew her. That was a boy, too. I never found out what happened to him. But with the Hollowborn, you didn't have to ask. Guess he got a brother, though.
Adair falls quiet, blinking several times before noting your continued presence. Sure you want to know where this leads?
No, but I don't see a way to let this go. Least a way's not now. Last time I saw Alava, we got friendly. Now she's got a son.
Adair's shrug is rigid, his smile at least half wince. Let's get moving.
Incense.
Okay.
Offerings for the temple.
A scent of beeswax and incense wafts from these barrels and crates. This is the Dawnstar vendor?
Shining God, light your path, stranger. Can I interest you in any of our wares? We gathered what we could. Much of our coin goes towards feeding those in need over at the temple. Thank you, sir.
We got a necklace of fireball, boots of speed. Not much else. This is road north.
Payment for heads. It could be no sin.
Ale and grog. It's like a bounty giver. An armored Juana turns and looks you up and down. She holds this motionless pose across a long and contemplative silence. Finally, she draws out a single pyre and balances the coin on her knuckles.
Tell me, are you someone who walks the path that coin lays out before you?
She arches her fingers in a wave, causing the coin to flip from one knuckle to the next. She seems enraptured by the motion. Lately, the gods tend to steer me around.
In death, they steer your soul. But in life, you are bound to coin. Transmuting actions into payment is the alchemy that orders our world. All things turn on the axis of a coin bond.
She sounds very much like a gold-packed knight. I don't know if that's what she is, but that idea that when you are paid for something, then it is your duty to complete that thing is very gold-packed. She touches her brow with her free hand as she says the word. Her coin continues its winding journey uninterrupted.
I pay bounties so that death can bring order to life. Would you help me continue the cycle?
You can try and steal her coin. What bounties do you have available?
If you would forge a coin bond, I know of people on these islands who must die. Their fate is already decided. The coin wishes only to collect. Dugra the Ascetic is wanted for crimes against his monastic order. His people have made a coin bond for his death.
She holds a pyre and lovingly inspects its edge, running her index finger along the curve.
The Orlan wanders the wilderness on the island of Crookspur, northwest of Neketaka.
She closes her fist around the pyre. I think if I ask questions,
Speak
there's nothing.
freely, I say.
Do you have any other hobbies?
I am a paladin of the Gold-Pact Order. Since taking my oath, I have never been absent of work and duty for longer than an afternoon.
She stands rigid and raises a fist over her heart, but something in her manner softens, so she is a Gold-Pact Knight.
I also enjoy knitting on occasion.
Farewell.
Supplies! Get your supplies here! Consider, friend, the blessings of the priests are priceless, but so too is good sense. I have supplies here, so that daring travelers may live to honor the gods.
Let's see what you have.
Certainly.
We have the Magnificent Escape Cape. One of many accoutrements of the famed Valian magician Malia ne Spericoliro. This cape went missing during the finale of her most memorable show, along with Malia herself and a sizable portion of those in attendance. It reappeared only recently, flying atop a flagpole in the Sacred Stair district of Neketaka. Malia had fulfilled her promise. They had indeed seen her, now they did not. Several other props have been recovered over the years. The Box of Death and the dismemberment materialized at the wedding of Ulu Lufkulj in the Deerwood, where it brought a dramatic conclusion to the nuptials by crushing the father of the bride. The tumbling ring of conflagration is said to have apparated onto the deck of a Huana gunboat in the Deadfire some weeks later, though surviving crew members tell conflicting accounts of what started the resulting fire. Of the great magician and her audience, there has been no sign. So yeah, the Magnificent Escape was an escape indeed. Let's see what it says. Once per encounter, if I have this, while bloodied or near death, the Magnificent Escape Cape can be used to dash to safety, breaking engagement and expertly avoiding the next attack. Gonna buy some of these tools here. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. Tiabo.
Hello, Watcher. Fancy a look at this stock? Straight from the laboratory.
Let's see what you have.
Have a look.
The amazing and truly incredible Instant Potion Belt. This genuine artifact has been ensorcelled with only the finest spatial and temporal enchantments. Using advanced alchemical materials and artisanal magic iconography, this wonder of modern arcane achievement will allow you, the wearer, to reach beyond time and space itself, to conjure all manner of mysterious and powerful elixirs from the behind the curtain of reality itself, all without any training whatsoever. It has never been easier to summon potions, so it grants alchemists cash, which once per encounter, I can summon a random potion into an empty quick slot. And then we have Okura's Kettle. 10% chance to cast Boiling Spray at an enemy when wearer is critically hit. Grants Hearth and Home. Teleports to an ally's location. A navy sails on its stomach. This, above all things, was an axiom for Okura, chief galley cook of the Rawatai scout ship Waimara. Any crewman from the shipmaster to the lowest powder boy could rely on a steady, unending supply of Okura's famous stew. This was because Okura cooked little else. Stew at first watch, stew at last watch. Of course, the crew complained. Okura was untroubled. A crew that didn't complain was a crew short of work, if you asked her. She became a fixture of the vessel as the captains and crews came and went. Okura and her cast iron pot remained at the ready to feed those under their charge. When the Waimara fell victim to a rogue wave, Okura was lost at sea. The ship was scrapped for parts and its supplies redistributed among the Rawataian navy. The crew, however, stole away Okura's pot. In an act of finality, they gave it to a local smith under the condition that he crafted into something, anything, other than a cooking vessel. Then they toasted Okura's memory and hoped beyond hope that whatever her pot became, it would never be used to cook stew again, And apparently they turned it into a helmet. An Animancy cat for sale. +2 metaphysics and +1 arcana. And there's nothing else here. To read anyway. I had a discount, a 5% discount there. I wonder why. Okay, so we still have a couple places to go here. This is the Spire of the Soul-Seers. The ledger contains a meticulously logged list of names, dates, and measurements. Animancy in the Modern Age. That book was something that we read in the first game. Still deciding whether or not I want to read books that we read in the first game. Thick treatises on a variety of Animancy-related topics clutter the desk. We have a Potion of Relentless Striking and Thief's Putty. Is the rooftop of the Spire of the Soul-Seers.
Merla, that burned. Well, that won't do it all.
A note is scrawled into the margin between diagrams. Increased current. Lightning? Got a pry bar, some living iron. Diffused with soul essence during the smelting process, this iron resists corrosion and enjoys reduced brittleness. So you can induce metals with soul essence. Interesting. And then a drug called Deadeye, which is a peculiar concoction widely used by spearfishers. Deadeye focuses vision and steadies one's aim. This pale fluid is administered in small drops directly to the eyes. The immediate effects are remarkable, and the drug itself is not known to be addictive, though it does cause disorientation and vision problems for some time after use. And you get +5 accuracy, plus 15% chance to interrupt on scoring a hit. And there's no downsides, huh? It says recovery time 3. Recovery is the amount of time that character spends between actions. Most actions will cause a character to enter a brief... oh, okay, so it just means that using it makes you have to recover for a few seconds. Okay. Alright, let's talk to Edwin. A steady, white-haired elf frowns down at a table covered in coiled copper wires and glimmering shards of Audra. Her gloved hands smooth her well-tailored Valian coat as she mumbles under her breath. Apparently absorbed in her work, the Animancer doesn't acknowledge her presence. Clear your throat. The woman spins on you, blinking rapidly behind a pair of brass-rimmed spectacles. Her bright carmine eyes and paper-white skin mark her as one of the Glamfelon. So like me.
Hello, my apologies. I didn't see you there.
Her Darren bears a clear, crisp, but difficult to place accent. The pale elf examines you warily, unease clear in the set of her shoulders. Are you alright?
I am fine. Is there some reason I shouldn't be?
One of her pale eyebrows arches. She tugs at her gloves and looks away from you. Calm settles about her like a burial shroud. This voice actor sounds like the narrator.
Which is not to say I do not appreciate your concern. I do.
She settles her spectacles on her nose. As she does so, you notice her hands shaking.
I, like the other scholars here, am engaged in the study of the soul sciences. Was there something you needed, or may I return to my studies?
Her thin lips settle into a crooked smile. As she speaks, a drop of blood rolls out the elf's nose and drips onto her lips. She pulls out a handkerchief from her coat pocket and wipes away the blood without a word. You're bleeding.
Indeed. I apologize if you find the sight of blood unsettling. Though, from your appearance, I would expect you to be well acquainted with it. In any case, why are you here?
How'd you come to be in Neketaka?
It is a mundane story. I sought out the ship with the longest oversea route departing from the Republics and booked passage.
Though her words are flat and her voice affectless, Yidwin is not calm. She shifts her weight from foot to foot and looks anywhere but at your face. She has the restless, nervous air of a horse about to bolt.
I had intended to perform a handful of experiments regarding the nature of souls that could only be done safely at sea.
I know of no animancy that must be done strictly at sea.
A fellow researcher. Then perhaps you will understand.
So all of this is metaphysics. I'm just going to say nothing.
I've long been fascinated by the nature of entropy. Nothing is unaffected by the passage of time, excepting souls. Supposedly.
She smirks.
Is it not possible that repeated reincarnation damages a soul? Could the process of reincarnation itself be responsible for some of the many ills that plague the souls of Kith?
Is it not possible that repeated reincarnation damages a soul? So she's suggesting that every time a soul returns to the wheel and then inhabits another body, that it degrades over time.
I deduced that it was possible to escape the cycle, escape Berath's grasp, to remove one's soul from the wheel.
And you decided to attempt the procedure on yourself?
I'd not experiment upon myself without relative certainty it would be a success.
A tick tweaks her cheek.
There were complications. My soul may be uncoupled from the wheel, but it seems to have become dislodged from my flesh as well.
Her voice lowers as she speaks. Uncoupled from the wheel, but dislodged from her flesh. So where is it?
Still, I am free.
How do you intend to manage the decay of your flesh and escalating desire for soul essence? Suggesting that she's just a vessel.
And the answer had better not involve consuming us.
I assure you, sir, that I will be admitting no part of you into my mouth. Ever.
Her attention returns to you.
I am concerned by neither. I will sate my appetite with the souls of animals, just as I sated my appetite with their flesh while in my previous life.
I wonder how long she's been alive then.
In the absence of live animals, Luminous Adra has proven sufficient to sustain me.
A slight grimace crosses her features like a shadow.
If I catch you nibbling on my lantern, I'll kill you dead. For real dead.
I worry you've confused me for a moth.
That's where Shodi keeps her souls. That's why she said that. And if that doesn't work...
I will address that problem when it is before me, should it arise at all. I do not care to borrow trouble.
What possessed you to do this to yourself?
My body and soul are my own. Why should I not do with them as I wish?
She squares her shoulders and fixes you with a glare. My response to that would be, and I wonder if I'll be able to actually say this, turning yourself into a vessel often makes you mindless and harmful. That's why you shouldn't do it as you wish. If it was just your body, sure, fine, but then you might end up harming other people because of this.
Who are you to say?
Edwin's carmine eyes cling to you, mouth set in a small frown. I'm a watcher. I see into the souls of others and, if necessary, pass judgment on what I find there.
Truly?
Her brows rise high on her forehead. She leans toward you, her eyes fixed on yours, suddenly intent.
Tell me, what do you see when you peer into the souls of Kith? Do you see their misdeeds? Their evil thoughts? Their unkindnesses, perversions, cruelties?
She blinks, frowns, and breaks eye contact.
I apologize. I have always felt a kinship with your kind. Having witnessed the very worst in Kith has left me keenly attuned to recognizing ill intent.
She quickly shakes her head.
Perhaps you would be amenable to me traveling with you on something of a permanent basis?
Why do you want to travel with me?
I have a vested interest in Luminous Adra, but acquiring it here can be expensive.
Meaning she's hoping that we just happen upon some Luminous Adra on our travels.
You have a ship of your own and are clearly well-traveled. I suspect I would encounter more Luminous Adra with you than I would on the streets of Neketaka.
Welcome aboard.
Truly?
She blinks, her mouth hanging half open.
We should discuss the sleeping arrangements.
Thaklat, traveler. I am grateful.
She clasps her hand in hers, pumps it quickly, and releases. Daklat is an Orjoma expression of gratitude. What is that, Orjoma? To keep an eye out for that. Give me just a second here. I'm going to write that down. Okay. After a quick pat down of various pockets sewn into her coat, Edwin nods sharply and rests a hand on the hilt of her rapier.
I have all that I need. We may depart at your leisure.
Her lips curl in a coy little smile, and she says no more. I'll make her a rogue. I'm not going to actually recruit her yet, though. Or make her part of our party, anyway. This is a Flaun Elete. From her unkempt hair to her agitated pacing, Flaun Elete gives off an air of restrained chaos. She waves you over with a few quick motions.
You don't mind if I talk and work, do you? What can I do for you?
She turns away to scrawl a quick note. You work here.
Not the coziest place for it, is it? But the open air, the lightning specifically, is a boon. Lets our mages have a rest now and then.
So, whatever she's doing requires mages to create electricity, but sometimes when it's storming, then they don't have to.
Good test of the equipment, too. We're working on making it less delicate. Our junior researchers are still a little soft.
What are you working on here?
Glad you asked, amico. Very glad. We're very excited about the work here, and we are always looking for volunteers. We've catalogued a number of interesting properties unique to Luminous Adra, but there are some very specific qualities we are investigating. Qualities that a Watcher happens to be uniquely suited to exploring. You're just what we're missing.
Is it dangerous?
No. Well, yes, what isn't? But not exceptionally dangerous. Luminous Adra has special effects upon Keith. Even to the humblest, it offers some small improvements. Rejuvenation, vitality, the kind of thing you sell to people back home, eh? But what about those who have already harnessed their own essence? Consider the talented Cutpurse, for instance, who can cross a room by slipping briefly into another place. The world between.
So I guess thieves can slip into the in-between in order to accomplish what they need to do?
Luminous Adra holds enormous quantities of essence, the kind of energy we can't replicate or restore. And these formations have a kind of connection to each other across the in-between. I believe we can harness this connection and your natural abilities to transport a person across great distances in a moment.
So, using my intellect, I could tell her about the Adra that we actually saw this happening to. So, let's do this. Your theory is sound. I've used the Adra to track someone before.
Oh, good. You've done some experimenting on your own. A curious mind is a happy mind, I say. Can't mope about ghosts all day. We've collected a number of illuminating readings, and our machines are ready to harness the Adra's essence. But for the moment, we are effectively blind when it comes to targeting the next pillar. Now, if someone were capable of sensing that essence in the in-between, even of manipulating it, someone like a Watcher, for instance.
You want to use my connection to the Adra. I could target a specific pillar.
Precisely right. We've had luck with shorter jumps, but those were as much spellcraft as science.
So some kind of teleporting here.
The idea is for you to focus on the next connection point. The machine will use that new link between the Adra veins to create a tether, as well as provide the energy for you to jump effectively. What's really exciting is, so long as you are holding that connection open, your companions can jump alongside you.
Or they could hold things down here, make sure it's safe for you to come back.
Wow, thanks, Adair.
The next pill is due east of here, in the middle of a farm. It's not as tall as this one, but you shouldn't have any trouble finding it. Oh, and don't worry, we paid the farmers.
What if something goes wrong?
There was that fellow that jumped a little too far over the edge.
Stop scaring our assistant.
So something has gone wrong. I'm gonna say I have to take care of something else first. I'll come back to this.
We'll get everything ready for you.
So let's see. That's a glimpse beyond. Yeah, and it's got 2 skulls here, so we should wait until we do that. The hum of the machine dips into a lower tone whenever someone stands within arm's reach. Got some luminous Adra dust, living steel, rune powder, and binding copper. Living steel. Yeah, same thing as the living iron, it's just steel. Okay. I think we just have the Temple of Berath and the Hanging Sepulchres to go into. Alright, so here is the Temple of Berath. Oh, corpse laid out on a table here, and another one, and another one. This corpse has some currency, and we could take the kith meat. Tasty. Kith meat, amulet of health. Wonder why we're allowed to loot these bodies.
Of course.
Long incisions along the corpse's stomach and chest provide access to the organs. Very utilitarian description of a corpse there. The tablets hold the tale of Kahopa and Tangaloa devouring creation at the very dawn of time. That is the snake depiction of Berath, 2 snakes that are kind of eating each other forever through infinity. See here too that there's something going on below this area in this temple. We got some doors over here. You can see them down here and here as well. And we have High Priest Kasu. An ailing Amawa priest regards your approach with curiosity. He coughs into a sleeve stained with a spatter of silvery flecks.
Come closer to the altar. Come inside. The temple welcomes all to worship, most especially you.
The priest peers knowingly at the center of your chest, lips curving an ardent smile. Hands trembling, he touches the length of the chain around his neck.
I ask only for no talking. Not until we pay our respects to Berath, to Rikuhu. Let us pray.
He bows his head. Okay, so Kahopa and Tangaloa are the names of the snakes that are eating each other, but Rikuhu is the twin eel that represents the cyclic connection between overworld and underworld, life and death. So Rikuhu is the name of the being as a whole, whereas Kahopa and Tangaloa are the names of the snakes individually. Huh. Bow your head. Actually, I'll just cross my arms over my chest and watch.
Deity of life and death, the endless devourer who encompasses all existence, hear this prayer, this voice chiming. I beseech you, Kohopa and Tangaloa, to ready this shell for sucking. Purify my soul in preparation for the coming of the next cycle.
This shell for shucking. So that's how they talk about bodies who are dying and therefore losing their soul. I also want to point out this humongous skull behind them here. It looks dragon-ish, but not exactly. There's something going on in the front here. Maybe it's just incomplete. But it seems like it might be some like aquatic creature whose mouth kind of disconnects because the jawbone is actually two bones here.
Digest all of my devotion. Swallow my sorrows, even the smallest swell, so I can be spit on the morrow. And Rikuhu, Berath, my god and goddess both, the eels that churn in ceaseless cycle, the new and the next, and...
Let's see what happens if I finish for him. From life to death to life again, blessed be an end. Nodding fervently, he accepts your ending to the invocation. He presses his hands over the center of his chest, touching the item tucked beneath his shirt, then raising his head, he cracks a frail smile.
All right. I will address your inquiries best as I can. So ask.
What was that about preparing your soul for shucking?
End of the turn. I'm nearing it. Been working hard, preparing for weeks. You know, to die. But first, I've got to leave guidance for my apprentice, the next in the cycle, chosen to lead.
He sweeps a hand towards the stone tomes piled across the floor. You're dying?
Been wasting away for months. Can't say it's been easy, dying so soon. I thought about stopping a few times.
You're killing yourself.
Maybe you can see. I'm no death godlike. Berath bestowed not one in my generation with a chime. Not the next, neither.
So I guess they look forward to and probably worship Berath godlikes.
A flawed messenger like me can't open the crypts. So my best chance is to die.
Tell me about the writing on these tomes.
Liturgies. Instructions for ritual preparations. When and how. Sermons. Some histories, too.
His fingers trail carefully across stone as craggy as his skin.
All of this, it's our knowledge has gleaned through centuries of service. Now, I've got to leave it all behind for the next disciple.
Impressive altar. What else can this temple boast?
Under the temple, carved in the mountain's caverns, lies an extraordinary maze of catacombs. So I've read. They're the hanging sepulchres, burial place for ancient Wana chieftains.
And that's probably what we can see underneath it here.
The bodies are protected by Berath's best, roaming, always. Plus, the ways sealed by the deity itself.
His words catch in his throat and he curves forward in a spine-racking fit, hacking until he's flush-faced. Fumbling a goat-skinned flask to his lips, he drinks until minnow silver liquid dribbles over and slicks his chin.
Better.
He wheezes, wiping a palm over his chin.
The timing's getting tighter. And there is one thing before the end. Something only one touched by Berath can do.
I can use my insight to say you covet something in the catacombs, the ones you can't access because you lack Berath's chime.
That's right. I've got no hope, but you do.
He tugs at a chain about his neck. Wonder if he knows we have the bell.
My eels, my infinity coil keeps rattling. Pendants resonating with your chime.
The priest presses the palm of his hand to the front of his chest. He stares, scrutinizing your face. He shakes his head, disappointed.
The coil resonates, but it's weak. You could unseal the way, but you die inside, I think. My chance would be lost then. Lost with your remains. Not just anyone can escape the hanging sepulchres. Alive.
Now let's say this. Kith-bearing Berath chimes are rare. This may be the only chance you get.
My time's waning fast. Right you are on that.
He sighs, wavers on his feet. He releases his grip on the pendant with a feeble nod.
I'd best not let this chance pass. There's a sacred text. The eulogy to Isaiah. It's been buried in the catacombs beneath the temple for centuries, next to his champions. I need it. Of course, the tombs, they only open to the dead, or those bearing Berath's chime.
Why do you need Isaiah's eulogy?
It never was added to the tomes, but it holds the final clues for my death. It's my best chance. I prayed for decades, night to day and night again. Now, here you are, just in time. Means Berath sent you to see to my success.
I have some questions about Isaiah in the catacombs beneath this temple.
I'll tell you what I can.
What's the story with the seer?
He's no Juana, nor a death godlike neither, but he was a high priest of Berath. His hair was a Diran, a hunter, chasing the undead 200 years ago. Read somewhere, one tome, he sailed to the Deadfire for a weapon, abhorrent to Berath. Said the blade held a power most fearful.
The priest's face flushes with fervency. His voice rises in volume as he speaks until his breath catches and he doubles over into a hacking fit.
Isaiah fought hard for it, won the blade, but suffered grievous wounds. Berath kept him alive till he could make it to the temple's catacombs. His champions were the ones who wrote his eulogy. Later, they were buried in the sepulchres too.
How do I enter the catacombs into the temple?
You've got to go outside, on the lower walkway. Doors sealed up tight, though.
Really quickly, I want to take a look at this story of Isaiah. It says that he sailed to the Deadfire looking for a weapon abhorrent to Berath. So Berath didn't want him to have this weapon. He fought hard for it, and then he won the blade, but suffered grievous wounds. Berath kept him alive till he could make it to the temple's catacombs. And his champions were the ones that... So it seems like she approved of him going to get this weapon, but it said maybe he was trying... Maybe Berath wanted him to find it because it didn't want this weapon to be among the people. That's... I'm going to guess that's what it is. Okay.
Priests before me, all death godlikes could open it. Door requires a coil, resonating with Berath's chime. But I haven't met a death godlike in my time.
So it seems like death godlikes are inherently born with this chime, whereas other people, like myself, need to receive the chime. I'd like to know more about the hanging sepulchres.
They're from the long-forgotten time, when there was only Juana living in the mountain.
I wonder if this is related to Ingwithans, who at some point, according to the history, had some kind of relations with the Juana.
They got carved in even before the temple sprung up. Before there was Neketaka or a queen. They're well guarded, because not all of Berath's dead like to rest in their graves.
I've heard enough for now.
All right. But there's something you've got to know. Or I guess I've just got to say.
The priest bobs his head. From beneath his shirt, he untucks a stone-carved circlet in the image of an eel. The pendant vibrates in the length of its chain, thrumming harder the closer he holds it to you.
You're my best chance. Or only, maybe. Take the coil. It'll open the crypts. Bring me a sayer's eulogy, and I'll teach you all I know of Berath's arcana.
So we gain an item called the Eel's Coil. An infinity coil on a long chain depicting two eels, each consuming the other. This pendant, when resonating with a Berathian chime, can open the gate to the Hanging Sepulchres. Okay, so we need to use that with our bell. You mentioned something about undead in the catacombs?
The dead, with their souls, they roam still. The ones who were chosen by Berath. Not everyone's born so blessed. Sometimes, instead, you've got to die for it.
Farewell. Okay, so we have a quest to go to the Hanging Sepulchres, which were below us. Let's see. Eulogy for the dead is in red, so this is definitely not something we're going to do just yet. So we're going to hold off on the Hanging Sepulchres. Go down here, though, at least. Pick up some of the items that are down there.
Go inside. So you defeated this ship-devouring beast all by yourself?
I'm telling you.
The winds whip violently along the cliffs below, carrying the sound of the rustling trees with them. This tree, its roots digging deep into the rock and bricks, hangs over the ledge of the precipice. Below, an open tomb clings to the sheer walls of the cliff. Peer over the precipice. The precipice drops hundreds of feet into the lower districts of Neketaka. Strong winds assail the cliff, whistling as they crash against its rocks. A few yards below, the ledge of an open tomb rests on them. This seems like it's probably a second entrance into the Hanging Sepulchres if you didn't get the pendant from the priest in there. And it gives us a rope and grappling hook right there and some medical supplies. Okay. And it looks like that'll do it with the Sacred Stair, so we're going to head over to a second district. A second district for today, anyway. The only place we haven't been that is unlocked is Periki's Overlook. I'm going to guess if we took the north exit, we'd be able to go to Serpent's Crown, but we're just working our way up here. So Periki's Overlook is where I want to go next.
Been having some disturbing dreams. Makes it hard to sleep.
Alright, so here is Periki's Overlook. In front of us we have the Luminous Bathhouse. We talked to a former employee of the Luminous Bathhouse who says people go in there and they often feel safe enough to share secrets, and she heard something and gasped. She wouldn't tell what that thing was, but the fact that she was listening in got her fired from the Luminous Bathhouse. We have Overlook Cuisine. That looks like a little merchant stall there. We have Marihi's Metalwork. A shop, probably. We have Kutzli's Exotic Herbs. The Dark Cupboard, probably a shop. Amida's Refreshments, another shop. Archimer's Manor. Archimer is an archmage, I believe. We have a little park over here. And then the Water Shapers Guild. And then finally, Yulfr's Raiments. So let's work our way around clockwise. We'll start with Raiments and then go this way. Oh, first we gotta pick up the dog, though. Rasper, who 5% of incoming hits are converted to grazes. We have a razor gill here, which I believe is new. The gills on an underside of this unassuming mushroom are brittle and sharp enough to cut. Foragers should handle them with care. Oh. Alright. And Orland's Cradle. That's not new. Okay. This is Yulfr.
If you find yourself in need of comfortable garb, I'm happy to oblige.
The dwarf tips his head in a curt professional manner. You're a tailor.
I've been known to rip a seam here and there, patch some shredded gear back into shape.
His expression shifts, turning sour.
Thought I was an armorer, did you? Assumed that my tree stump limbs and barrel chest lend themselves better to the forge than the needle?
Forgive me, I meant no offense.
If it's armor you're after, Marihi will set you up. She's got a knack for metal.
He points up to the door and jerks his head to the east. Alright, so what does he have? He's got a Mantle of 7 Bolts, which grants us Storm of the 7 Bolts, which unleashes 7 powerful arcs of lightning which bounce off the walls, harming anyone in their path. That's once per rest I can do that. This cape is interwoven with copper thread and was created by an eccentric wizard to provide protection from electricity. The wizard's initial experiments were promising. The garment seemed to absorb and redirect the effects of the wizard's most potent lightning spells. After countless self-administered shocks, he was left no worse for wear, save for a few burns and a persistent nervous twitch that intensified with his proximity to metal objects. We have Burglar's Gloves. These unassuming gloves are proof that form follows function. They are made from supple fawn leather, allowing for easy movement of the wrists and fingers. Nondescript wristbands offer convenient, discreet storage for picks, tension bars, and other tools of the saboteur's trade. Rawhide on the palms provides protection when gripping or climbing. And that gives us +1 dexterity and +2 mechanics and +2 athletics. Huh. And 3 Trolls Stitched. A cape. That gives us the Troll Skin effect, +5 health restored, -2 burn armor rating, -2 crew. So yeah, trolls are weak to fire and acid, but we restore our health. This trio of hides still carries the unmistakable stink of trolls. Fluid oozes from the patches of fungus adorning the fibers of the garment, and mossy particulates slough on the surface with a touch. The cape retains some of the troll's regenerative properties. However, much like trolls, it is highly flammable and vulnerable to corrosive materials. And then the rest, oh, no, so we do have some clothing here. Hawana clothing, Principe clothing, Valiant clothing. But then we also have a belt called Ngati's Girdle. Ngati, again, is a name for Andra. This fine sharkskin belt is thought to have been in the possession of a widowed elf, noble Devka Kilwin, when she took her own life by throwing herself from a coastal watchtower into the crashing sea below. Some years later, the girdle washed ashore near Hawana village in the Deadfire, where a wandering shore walker discovered it. The salt and tide had not marred it in the slightest. The inner lining still bore the embroidered message of Devka from her late husband. Mere souls always find one another, it read. The shore walker, wary of the implications of such an artifact, opted to sell it rather than tempt the ire of Ngati, who surely kept a weather eye on such a symbol of love, loss, and the sea. And this one gives me +1 athletics, and it gives us a 10% chance to cast interrupting crush damage when critically hit in melee, and it gives us +1 crush armor rating. Okay, still more of this place.
Just a moment, please. Hope that helps.
This would be stealing, and that's where Ngati's Girdle is, if we wanted to steal it. Patterns both local and foreign adorn these bolts of fine cloth. Got some rice here. And some of the clothing. All right. Keep going here. Let's go to the Luminous Bathhouse. That just says the Luminous Bathhouse. So here it is. We have the bath in the center here with some kind of structure. This is Gaun. Uh-oh, got some naked people in here. You're greeted by a tall, carefully composed man. The crescent moon in the center of his forehead glows faintly. Up close, the careful tailoring of his opal-adorned robes and their immaculate cleanliness speaks to a deep well of vanity.
Welcome, welcome. I am Gaun, owner and proprietor of the Luminous Bathhouse. If there's any way I might make your visit more comfortable, you need only ask.
He clasps his hands and bows, a playful smile tugging at the corners of his lips. I'd like to try your bath.
Of course you would. Just speak with the steward near the stairs. He will make certain you are treated well.
What do you have for sale? Okay, so we have some rooms that we can stay in here. We can stay in a moistened cave for plus 25% healing received and constitution. The bath will drop. Plus 2 health restored per 6 seconds, and a +1 max power pool. And finally, the Abyss. Plus 25% beneficial effect duration, and plus 10% area of effect. We have some Ataru warriors.
Have you tried the bathing pool? Kira, its waters allow you to absorb the powers of the dead. Have you tried the bathing pool?
Same thing.
Kira, its waters allow
a named person here. Rowena.
You are too morbid, my friend.
Emryo.
Has been blessed by the
Is
gods,
this your
and it
first
is their
time
blessing.
to the baths?
An old man stretches his arms over his head and yawns, making show of displaying his moistened physique. I haven't been in the water yet.
The cost is high, but so are the delights. I might have the skin and bones of a retired scarecrow, but the waters bring youth back, where it counts.
Okay, so I am going to say, you genuinely believe I needed to hear and see this?
Excuse me?
He pauses and blinks at you, a rivulet of sweat working down the bridge of his nose. I should go, right now. Let's see what Rowena has to say.
I hope we haven't spent too much time in the baths.
The young woman takes your measure wearing a concerned frown. It's fine, I don't work here.
I see. My thanks for clearing that up.
In any case, we hope you enjoy your time.
Her companion subtly tips her head to shoo you away. What brings you to the bathhouse?
I am helping Rowena to conceive. She came all the way from the Deerwood, and I will see that she returns with arms laden with young.
Seinu grins her way. How do you help someone conceive?
After the Hollowborn crisis, I wanted no child of mine born in those blighted lands. This place is a miracle. Every day I emerge from the baths as a new woman, and my first child will be as strong as an Adra pillar.
She looks to Seinu with a bright smile. Good luck with that.
My thanks. And luck to you on your stay here.
She smiles. Her companion simply nods. So I said this was a structure in here, but it's like a moving water sculpture or something like that. That's interesting looking. I like that. Here's the bathhouse steward.
The cost of enjoying the bathhouse's unique offering is 1,000 copper per session.
The bathhouse steward crosses his arms and smiles. His look holds an invitation, but a warning too. Why so much?
a prudent question.
He draws himself up to its full height and puts his hands behind his back.
The bathwaters are infused with hand-refined luminous adra, which promotes a holistic balance of the humors. Because of luminous adra's remarkable qualities, it is also a significant investment to both supply and maintain. Gaun may tell you more if you're curious. He is something of an amateur alchemist, in addition to being a businessman of remarkable skill and insight.
Next, you'll tell me luminous adra grants the bather eternal life.
Would that it were so. Gaun would make good money, and perhaps I would receive a raise, yes?
When have you ever known men such as Gaun to share their spoils? That's streetwise and diplomacy. Let's see what he says here.
You, I like. We see eye to eye on many things, I suspect.
He lets out a bark of laughter.
A small discount for you, friend. For making me laugh. 900 copper.
Well, thank you for that. Not going to take that just now, though. Farewell. We have... Rare and colorful fish swim from end to end of the watery enclosure. We have Udine here.
Oh, we need one of those for our
I see you
ship.
brought your pain, but you need come to ease it. Pity.
A venerable elf sits beside the water, her creased and spotted skin slightly flushed by the heat. Numerous scars mar her skin on face and torso alike. Her eyes open and their sharp gaze focuses on you. Pain? I have no pain.
Aye, if you say so.
The elf's eyes examine you as a physician might, probing but impersonal. What brings you to the bathhouse?
It eases my pain. More than that is an awful long yarn, and then Tadlickly.
Okay, let's hear it.
I fecht in the broken stone war some 2 centuries gone by now. I left the woods of a deer for the eastern reach. I claimed to seek to protect our colonists, but in truth, I sought the glory of battle.
The Broken Stone War was, I believe, the first conflict between the Adiran colonists and the Glenfathan natives in the Deerwood. One of the Adiran colonists maybe accidentally knocked down an Adra pillar. They didn't realize the importance of it, and that kind of started off a conflict. And that was a long time ago. I don't know exactly how long, but that suggests that this woman is very old.
Glory were nae to be had. Truth be telt, I hold luckier than most. The Orlans o' Ayr Glanfath wielded blades that sheathed spirit as easily as flesh. Some of mine fellas were slaughtered body and soul.
I'm sorry if you heard me knock the mic dish there.
Come again? I don't quite follow your meaning.
You speak of the Mind Hunters, Glenfathan warrior ciphers.
Aye, that I do. And a downright vicious bunch they are.
What happened to you?
One weird o' the will of the gods one. A farmer near a Boots log home invited the soldiers for dinner. 'Twas hairst, and the crop was rowdy. She and her man devised us a braw and gusty feast. Deer pie and salmon, a stew of cabbage, carrots, and potatoes, squash roasted with pine nuts, and the sweetest honey bread I ever tasted.
A weak smile spreads her mouth.
The Glanfathans riled the animals. By then we caught the trick, so the captain bade the farmer's family stay within. We skipped into the necht, approached the thick swine, and the arrows began to fall.
The smile has faded. Go on. She exhales a long, thin sigh.
Ah, the shelter folk, hunters and kempers bred, aimed their arrows true, and 2 of us fell immediately. The Orlans rashed us down, small and shady, visible only by the violet flames that lit their blades.
The shelter folk. I've been saying skelter folk. This is the formal name for wood elves. He'll speak for sheltered people.
We drank it that firm in blood, both sides. In the end, only I remained, standing in the farmhouse door, holding mine innards in, waiting for another cocksfeather to come and finish the work. I only lived because of that farmer. She sewed me up, fed me till I had health enough to stand. She said she owned me, but...
She shakes her head.
I think we both cont that we brought the trouble upon them with our presence. The raiders had been too many a slecht at simple farmhouse.
Seems to be the story of a smaller conflict within the Broken Stone War. Your wounds trouble you still.
The pine bothered me little in mine youth. I fought ye. I set flames to black trees. I took arms again, the uprising at New Dunreed. After that, little welcome remained me in the new Duke's Kintra, and I travelled northward.
So some more allusions to other conflicts between the Adiran colonists and the Glenfathan natives. The War of the Black Trees, where the one of the two sides set fire to a wood. I think it was the Glenfathan set fire to a forest to drive out the Adirans. I could be wrong about who did that, though. And then New Dunreed was the first name of Defiance Bay before the War of Defiance, and where the now Dear Woodens claimed their independence from the Adair Empire.
Yet with age, the old wounds show new depth. By my count, I've suffered 18 arrows and half again as many stabbings. That I yet live testifies to either my stubbornness or that of the gods. I ranged for years seeking a balm for the growing pine. Drink helped for a time, svev for another. Now, only these baths, infused with Adra, dull the agony.
So using my intellect, I can say you fought against the Deerwood's independence.
Aye, I did. At the time it seemed recht. Now, I feel less certain.
So she seems to have changed her mind about that. Thank you for sharing your story.
Aye. Thank you for listening. Few day.
The cat here is banging its head against the wall of the pool.
Lest there's anything you need, please, let me to mine water.
Farewell. The boiler room. Got some bathhouse attendants.
Indeed.
Beads of moisture run down the heated copper, leaving the perfume of refined Adra in their wake. And to think I used to like the smell of Adra. Now I can't stand it. This crack in the wall is perhaps just wide enough to accommodate an Aumaua squeezing in sideways. The passage seems to widen the deeper it goes. It's gonna leave. If it's big enough for an Aumaua, then we could probably all fit through there. Rooms up here.
What are you doing? Get out!
Happily.
Let's see if there's any animals out here. Oh, there it is.
You have truly put your foot in it this time.
We got Noah the cat. Plus 25 stride. 25% stride. I think that's stride is movement in battle. In combat. And that's it up here.
You have truly put your foot in it this
I
time.
want to also point out these doors of the Luminous Bathhouse have bubbles or something. I don't know if that's floating in the air or if there's some kind of enclosure that's going in. You also see the fountain here. This is a very elaborate place, these bathhouse.
Nago. You have truly put your foot in it this time.
Alright, Degnos.
Adolf Entre, you go to visit the Luminous Bathhouse, yes?
Fentre is a Valian term for an unmarried man. Perhaps, why do you ask?
My satchel. Like a fool, I left it inside. My ship is due to sail from Neketaka with the next high tide. If I do not find it, my Kasita will surely throw me overboard. Merla, I cannot swim.
A look of horror spreads across his face.
I would go by myself, but the guards, they bar the doors to me without my Kasita present. They think I am a thief.
He stares at his feet, his hands as an anxious twisting knot in front of him. Why can't you ask your Kasita to retrieve it then?
I would rather her not discover my incompetence.
His eyes dart to the side as if looking for something or someone just outside his vision. An understandable concern? Are you a thief?
No, of course not.
His eyes widen in fright and he waves his hands frantically before you in a warding gesture. I could help you find it.
Gelade, you mean it? Agrasima, I am in your debt.
The air of misery suffusing him lifts for a moment. His eyes go wide and he grins. You notice a slight sheen of sweat in his upper lip. He shifts his weight from foot to foot and stares at you intently.
There is, one thing. Madiko, how could I have forgotten?
He tugs at the collar of his shirt as if he's suddenly much too hot.
If you could, do not open the satchel. The contents are... The information is...
He searches for the word.
Proprietary. You understand?
On my honor, I will not open the satchel.
You do me a great favor.
He clasps your hand in his.
Please, when you find the satchel, meet me at Peddler's Canal in Queensberth.
Okay. Is that like in the bath then? Just looking around for this here. Oh, let's use the bath.
Please.
Now this is a worthy use for animancy.
Okay. So from that you get +1 max in power points and +1 cast with level 1 wizard spells. Okay, that's nice. Can I just go in here? Does it just let me?
Please.
Okay.
Enjoy the bath.
Okay. So that's not how I get it. Maybe it's up here. Where is this satchel?
When I was little, me and my brothers used to spend hours chasing each other through the Merkberry fields. Don't think a day went by I didn't have a skinned knee or a bleeding elbow.
Oh, we did that sometimes. Only my brother usually had a hand in the bleeding.
He older or younger than you? Either way, I bet he's just as strapping.
Older. Was older. Then Raid Sarah's invaded.
Oh, I didn't... I mean, of course, that's... God, but I'm so sorry.
That was Adair's quest in the first game, was to find out what exactly had happened to his brother, who he was fighting for, and those kinds of things. Alright, I got one more place to look, which is the boiler room. And then if it's not there, I'll just head out and try again later. Maybe Ganor knows.
Your exchange with Amrio was observed. Such behavior is my responsibility. I've tripled his rates until he learns to conduct himself.
No, it's that gross old man. Do you know a boy named Degnos?
Casita Vetta's servant? The irritating one? Yes, he was here tending her just a few days ago.
Ganor waves his hand dismissively and rolls his eyes.
He tried to sneak into one of my rooms and told me a pathetic sob story when he was caught. I had the guards toss him out on the street.
He smiles, well satisfied with himself. Okay, nothing else there. It said one of the rooms, though that suggests it's upstairs somewhere, but I did not see anything when I was up there. I already have it? Search the second floor rooms. Huh. I'm sorry, I said I was gonna stop, but let me just go take one more quick sweep up here. Oh, here we go. There it is. A worn, common-looking satchel, curiously light. There can't be much in it. Okay. And we will be nice, and we will not open it.
I'm not so sure I believe you. What am I thinking right now? No, wait. Now.
It don't work that way, lass. I pick up on feelings. See fragments of memories sometimes. Impressions. And mostly when folks are upset or a bit of nerve, unless I'm trying to intrude. And I generally try not to intrude.
He winks. You intruded on me the moment we met.
Ah, that were an accident. If anything, you be the one that were intruding on me.
Oh, well, you could take a gander if you wanted. I mean, not all the time. Just this once.
As you wish, lass.
Seraphim looks up at Shoti with an uncommonly serious impression. His eyes seem to drill into her, then suddenly he jerks his head away and blinks like his eyes are burning.
So which is it? Light or dark? What do you see?
Neither, lass. Bounced off you like a bullet off an ironclad.
Shoti shrugs and walks away. Seraphim watches, hand rubbing the back of his head. Anything I should know about?
Mayhaps. Let me be ruminating on it for a tick, Cap.
He sighs and turns away. Huh, wonder what he saw. We have Marihi's metalwork here.
Well, if you insist, it's their trouble. I'll try my best.
Can at least... Oh, no, it's all too low. Still get the experience for unlocking them, though.
I say, you look like someone who wants protection and a certain something about presence. Akira?
The Huana woman scans you up and down, nodding as she measures your proportions.
Holler if any of the iron or steel laying around catches your fancy. Or if you need something repaired, I'm happy to take a glance.
Show her the shards of the Blade of Endless Paths and the Whispers of Yenwood. Can you do anything with these?
Akira, but these wonders have suffered greatly. I say you must take better care of your things.
I know, believe me. So what do you think?
I say I could repair these to their working order for 1,500 pyres each.
She thumbs her chin and considers.
Something about the metal. It yearns to bond as one. I could join all these pieces into a greatsword for 3,000 pyres.
She lifts her gaze to meet yours, the excitement of a challenge in her eyes.
If you need iron or steel, maybe even something lighter, I've got plenty in stock.
Okay, so remember that we can do that. I'm not going to do that right now. Periki's Overlook is an interesting place for an armorer.
Akira, they wouldn't put a traditional smith here unless she brought something special.
She sighs and glances towards her tools.
My clients wanted everything engraved and beautiful. Wasn't why I got into the business, but it keeps my debtors happy. I keep it interesting working with exotic materials like shark leather, since there's some demand and little supply.
She shrugs, running her hands across the length of hide. Show me what you have for sale. Alright, so we have some unique weapons here. We have Queen's Rule, which is a two-handed greatsword. And it grants capture, which exerts your supremacy to switch positions with a single enemy. If you're higher level than your foe, you'll make a full attack on them in the process. This elegant greatsword of Adiran manufacture is of Adiran manufacture. Emissaries from the Adair Empire presented it along with 7 similar weapons to the first Duke of the Free Palatinate of Deerwood upon the conclusion of the War of Defiance. Intended as a gesture of peace, such a gift has also signified de facto recognition of the Free Palatinate. The Duke, pleased by acknowledgement of his rule, accepted. As a gesture of solidarity with those who fought the Deerwood independence, the Duke distributed 6 of the weapons to his earls. The 2 Cavalier blades went to Hell's Gate and Coldwater. The Grasp and Norwich received the Tower hammers. To Ashfall and Tenfirth went the Abbot staves. The 2 remaining greatswords, Queen's Rule and King's Wrath, the Duke ordered smelted down. In his words, the Free Palatinate no longer had any use for royalty. It seems this weapon was saved from the fire, though it had a long fall from grace. Very American there, the fighting for independence from an empire across the sea, and then saying, you know what, we're not going to have a king and a queen, we are going to have a democracy instead. Then we have a unique arbalest, the Spearcaster. It's superb. Just gives us some stats, blunted criticals, unfit for melee, forceful impact, and rune bolts. The product of a wizard who considered himself an engineer, this arbalest has been modified to fire larger, thicker bolts. This provided no shortage of obstacles in its initial construction. The wizard found he needed to strengthen the bow lathes to accommodate the oversized bolts. Thus, a heavier string was required. As a result, the retaining nut had to be reinforced. Even a customized enchanted windlass was needed to span the blasted thing. The stock itself was initially too weak for the whole operation, and the wizard, ever a pragmatist, found structural enhancements were required to keep the weapon from snapping in two once armed. Runes etched into the massive spear-like bolts helped them fly true and gave them the punch to puncture steel and flesh. However, the wizard found it took considerable expenditures of his own arcane powers to make them do so. In the end, the weapon, while powerful, seemed only of use to those with sufficient knowledge of arcana. As such, the wizard abandoned his plans to produce similar weapons en masse and kept this prototype for his personal use. And finally, we have Lover's Embrace, which is a dagger. Grants True Love's Kiss. Stealth attacks cause the target to bleed for raw damage until combat ends. Juliana do Acense adored her lover Bruno, who was as clever as he was duplicitous. As Bruno's mounting debts grew beyond his ability to walk away from them, his lenders came to believe he would better serve as an example to other potential debtors. Bruno was murdered in his bed. As a warning, his killers left the weapon that did the deed behind. This weapon. Armed only with dripping blade and her broken heart, Juliana would go on to hunt down the killers and avenge her lover. Juliana's profitable new life as a bounty hunter became the stuff of legends. Okay. Anything else below? Yep. Ooh, the Devil of Carrick breastplate. Devil of Carrick was one of our companions from the last game from White March. The construct known as the Devil of Carrick eventually met her fate at the hands of the villagers of Maiden Falls, who tore her limb from limb. It seemed that at least one industrious smith saw some use for her remains. This bronze breastplate was forged from the devil's chest piece, brass buckles, and rivets from her various clockwork mechanisms. While her soul has doubtless departed, the remains are not wholly inanimate. The metal, no longer a prison for her soul, nevertheless seems to have been infused with life force and retains some power. Wow, this is expensive, legendary. And I think this, in the ending slides after we beat the first game, it said something about how she was attacked by villagers of Maiden Falls and died there. I don't know if that was a result of how we ended her quest, which was to let the person go who she had wanted so badly to take revenge on. Last thing we have is Tuotilo's Palm, which is a small shield. It counts as an offhand weapon. Tuatilo was a struggling metallurgist who supplemented his meager income by fighting in high-stakes boxing matches. Boxing proved to be a more lucrative venture, and he eventually abandoned his forge to devote the entirety of his life to training and fighting. He proved to be quite skilled, and quickly rose to prominence in the boxing circuit. He became so confident in his strength that he claimed his hands were strong enough to stop the blade of a sword. He even challenged the renowned duelist Rigolan to a bout to prove his claim. During the fight, before a cheering crowd, Tuatilo lost his left hand to her saber. A hard lesson learned, Tuatilo returned to his forge. Unwilling to admit his time as a master fighter had ended, he forged his impressive shield as a replacement for his missing hand. This new hand could not hold a hammer, but it could strike and parry, and that was good enough for him. So it's a shield that's also like a fist weapon.
Of course.
Just some clothes. An armorer's trick has softened the abrasiveness of these dried shark skins, and she mentioned something about working with shark skins because there was a demand for it. This is some kind of guard. Yep. Kutzli's exotic herbs. Got some glaive berries here. Those new? No. There's Kutzli himself, or herself.
Why, hello. Kutztili at your service.
Kutztili. She sets down her pruning shears and looks you up and down with a warm smile.
I can tell that you're new to the Deadfire. Maybe you're still getting your bearings? Some of my herbs can help with seasickness or worse afflictions.
What makes you think I got here recently?
It's nothing personal. You just have that taking everything in look about you. Give it time. It'll pass.
She reaches to brush a curl of fur from behind her ear. Her gaze wanders towards Seraphim and lingers there, and then she pulls her focus back to you, blushing slightly.
Oh, ain't no shame in looking, lass.
Flashing a crooked again, Seraphim bows to the herbalist. What brings an herbalist to Periki's Overlook?
Money is the obvious answer, but I don't think that's what you're after.
She smiles.
Yes, I'm an herbalist, but I also pride myself as a florist. I think the city liked the idea of putting a flower shop somewhere visible. It's ostentatious, really. Probably the same reason why we have a magic shop next door. Periki's Overlook is a great big splash of culture and innovation, there to show travelers that the Huana are ready for the world at large.
So it seems like Periki's Overlook then exists because the Huana wanted to show they were willing to accept these foreigners. And remember, the acceptance of these foreigners and the Huana leadership's interest in dealing with them has left the Raparu, the lower caste, wanting and very much in despair. And then I just noticed that you can look at Periki here. So it says Periki was an explorer and founder of the Water Shapers Guild. Many of the modern teachings of water shaping stem from her research into ancient Tuana society, which led to her posthumous renown and the subsequent naming of her home district in Neketaka as Periki's Overlook. So the Water Shapers Guild is a building that's here in Periki's Overlook that we will go into more detail when we actually get there. Show me what you have for sale. We have Apothecary's Glove here. These thin gloves allow for fine movement of the fingers. The supple leather has been alchemically treated to provide protection from harmful compounds, thorns, and other small hazards associated with the apothecary's trade. Gives us +1 dexterity and +2 alchemy. We have a twisted root doll. Once per rest, I can summon a vine lurker. This bundle of roots is knotted into a rudimentary figure of a kith. The head of the doll contains an unknown gem wrapped in moss. The top root fibers shudder and creak periodically as if trying to pull free of its unnatural shape. I wonder if I should buy that. I'll have to remember that's there. I might want to buy that.
Well, if you insist, there you go.
There's an imp here. This is the dark cupboard. Everybody wants to buy Shodi's lantern, asking for a price.
Yes. This is why wizards get a bad reputation.
Indeed. Got some ingredients there. This is an ironclad construct. This one's walking around, probably security. These exotic spices sting your eyes when you lean in to examine. Living quarters upstairs. This is a grimoire. Ingredients. This is all stealing, which is why I'm not taking anything. There's shop imp. The horned bones of a godlike. The plaque simply reads, "Shoplifters beware," without context. We can see some of the horns from the head of this godlike who maybe tried to steal.
Happily.
I got nowhere else to turn. Stonehill is going to kill me.
Don't drag me into your mess, Bertenno. Not again.
Then you leave me no choice. I'm sorry.
Hey, come back with that. Madico!
I wonder why the construct didn't try to stop him.
Indeed.
The spine of thicket green. It's a two-handed quarterstaff. This gnarled staff is heavier than it looks, owing to the entwined length of amber and Audra running down its core. Story goes that this was originally the backbone of an ancient Adragon, who, upon noting the advance of outsiders into her forest, sacrificed herself to preserve its health. Many have claimed to possess shards of her petrified remains, and this is hardly the first spine to boast that distinction. Regardless of its origin, this length of wood possesses an uncanny echo of dormant power. Oh, this is our creature cleaver, where we can sacrifice pets to get a pet that does more than one thing. I might want to use that at some point, even though it's cruel. Got a potion here.
I'll try my best. Hope that helps. Of course.
Got an amulet of health. Okay.
Fortune for a pond, good sir?
Fortune for a pond.
Salutations. Do you wish to hear your fortune?
The puppet in the box cocks its head to the side and stares at you with a vacant expression. He taps the metal coin slot expectantly. What's your story?
I got on Archimir's bad side and didn't exactly survive the experience.
Okay, so let's read about Archimir here. Archimir is an archmage of worldwide renown. The spells bearing his name focus largely on illusion and pain, qualities that he prizes in his personal life and teaching philosophy. Over the years, he has fostered dozens of students, but none have graduated from their apprenticeship to Archimir's satisfaction, opting instead to leave his service in bitterness and resentment over the Archmage's notoriously unfair treatment. He lives in Neketaka at Periki's Overlook, where he operates a local magic shop, the Dark Cupboard. So this is Archimir's shop right here that we're in.
I'm not really supposed to chat with customers.
He taps the coin slot and winks at you. I wasn't aware it was possible to bind a soul in this type of contraption.
How about you get yourself over to the Animancer's Tower in the Sacred Stair, then? No need to gawk at me.
Do the Juana have any problem with Arkemir holding you here as a slave?
The Queen is too pleased at having an archmage at her disposal to care.
His hinged mouth twitches in a sad smile.
I can't blame her. The Juana have got it rough. We all need coin in the end.
Do any of your fortunes actually come true?
Sure. All the time.
I had other questions. Let's give a copper for my fortune. The puppet's eyes close, and he steeples his fingers. You hear gears whirring and clicking inside the box. His eyes reopen, this time with an amber glow.
I see an island. Its shores are pitted, wreathed in fire. But you are bound to go there. Someone awaits you. A man, I think. An old friend.
Wonder if that old friend is Aethys?
I can see no more. Unless you give me another pyre.
You're not very good at this, are you?
I just told you an accurate fortune. You'll be thanking me when it comes true. Oh, Ifrin, you were right. I can't believe I ever doubted you. That's what you'll say. Guaranteed.
Farewell.
Just a moment, please. There you go.
Indeed.
This is a ring of focused flame. Potion of merciless gaze. Last thing here, just some ingredients and a potion. Okay, so let's talk to Fasina.
That flaccid batso.
This young wizard clutches the countertop, looking as if she's either going to vault over it or snap it in half.
Imp, you had none of that, huh?
The imp mutters to himself in a dark, guttural tone.
That's what I thought. What am I going to do? Think, Fasina.
She grabs a fistful of her hair and sighs. Looks like your customer forgot to pay.
Ah, very funny. Berteno just took Rokawa's fingers, which is no joke to me. He must have wanted to raise some fast coin. Arkemir will flay me alive over those damned gloves.
Fasina cradles her brow and groans. Using my Arcana and Insight, I'm going to say strange that the constructs didn't attack him for stealing, because that's what I was wondering, actually.
Is it strange? I don't know. Go consult Arkemir's grimoire if you're that curious.
Flustered, she finds any excuse to look elsewhere. What aren't you telling me?
Not that it's any of your business, but Berteno used to spend a lot of late nights here.
Fasina coughs into her fist and avoids eye contact.
I got into the construct's guts and marked off Berteno as a safe visitor so they would not attack him.
Ah, that's why.
And before you ask, no, I will never do this again.
She crosses her arms resolutely. Why are these gloves so important?
You do not know Arkemir, do you? He is as cheap as a Wodican clerk. Whatever he loses from those gloves, he will take out on me. Somehow.
Why does he need the money?
He said that he's in debt to a Rautayan captain by the name of Hamuto Stoneheel. By all accounts, a deadly serious man.
I'll let you know if I happen to find them.
A kindness, considering this is not your problem. I do not know where Berteno fences his goods, but he mentioned an appointment at the Berath Citadel docks.
Fasina bites her thumbnail and glares at the door, seeming to wish it would burst off its hinges.
Hamuto Stonehill must be as dangerous as he sounds, or else Berteno wouldn't be so panicked.
Tell me about yourself.
I am the apprentice of He of Many Colors. That's plain old Arkemir to you.
So Arkemir is the Archmage of Illusion and Pain. One thing that I am thinking of is the spell Arkemir's Dazzling Lights, which is multicolored, like show of lights to distract your enemies. And they say He of Many Colors, so that nickname fits definitely.
What few spells I know have names like Arkemir's Dripping Scourge or Arkemir's Malevolent Codpiece. He made me conjure a household staff of imps. Horrible, chittering things. I think it's because he knows I hate them.
Fasina sighs and waits patiently for you to speak up. You use a lot of honorifics when you talk about Arkemir.
He makes me call him by the titles he's earned in his long career. I can also call him by the titles I've made up since the start of my apprenticeship.
She grins, glancing left and right.
To me, he's the bringer of foul wind, the teeth of suckling imps, and the herald of dirty slippers.
The herald of dirty slippers. Show me what you have for sale. We have Yurnog's Careful Calamities. That's a grimoire. Some spells in it. So we already read the Spine of Thicket Green. Oh, this Ring of Focused Flame. I didn't realize this was a unique thing. So we have a few things to read here. Oh my god. Alright, we have some reading to do here. Strap in. This will be the end of this session right here. So first we have the Ring of Focused Flame. The garnet at the heart of this pewter band has been polished to the quality of a lens. It gleams just as bright by the light of a flickering candle as in direct sunlight. Flames seem to bloom when near it as a simple dismissive gesture causes them to sputter and dim, and that gives us plus 10% accuracy with fire attacks. We have Sasha's Singing Scimitar. This weapon was once the property of Sasha Saruman, a chanter of great renown. Her noble deeds and many victories are the stuff of legends. Long have the songs of her adventures filled noble halls and humble taverns alike, though no song sung or poem penned has succeeded in truly describing Sasha's grace with a blade. Her scimitar, an ancient blade of exquisite artistry, stirs the air when swung, humming with a peculiar vibrant frequency. The sound is a complex dissonant harmony, beautiful and jarring. It is both a tool of battle and an instrument of song. If the necks along the silver-plated edges are any indication, the great chanter carried this scimitar for many years and crossed blades with many foes. So the sword itself has musical qualities to it. Interesting. Finale, Empowering and Invocation returns 3 chanter phrases. And it gives us some other buffs. We have Lathandria's Devotion, a medium shield. Lathandria was the elf consort of Edwarth, a human lord of a prosperous Adirian barony. Her marriage with her own elf husband was a cold one and produced no children. It was in Lord Edworth's trueborn son, Matthew, that she found solace. She loved the boy as a son and cared for him after the passing of his mother, Edworth's true wife. True wife? So these were a human and an elf that were in love with each other. In this world, they cannot have a child. So it seems like she kind of adopted this stepson as her own. Matthew desired nothing more than to join the ranks of the Knights of Adir, like his father, and trained as a squire from a young age. As he grew into a young man, he excelled in martial prowess and Adiran virtue, eventually earning a command in the colony of the Deerwood. The young captain became known for his bravery and even-handedness in his protection of his empire's subjects. Esteemed with her surrogate son's accomplishments, Lathandria commissioned a shield worthy of his station, and Matthew wielded it with pride. When the Deerwood broke away from the Empire, however, Lathandria was horrified to learn Lord Edworth himself had been dispatched to put down the rebels along the borders. It seemed her precious Matthew had taken up the cause of the Deerwoodans. After a long and bloody battle, Captain Matthew met his own father in single combat. Matthew's shield, shining in the moonlight, held true, but it was no avail. The aspiring knight was cut down by his own father. Wow. So they were on 2 different sides of the War of Independence. The War of Defiance. We have a belt, Spellkeeper. The creator of this belt realized that organization is necessary for a healthful, fulfilled life. In an effort to organize her ever-growing supply of arcane scrolls, she needed a safe, secure place to keep them. Considering the sheer volume of scrolls in her admittedly hoard-like collection, this safe place needed to be essentially infinite in size, but small enough to be handy. A few experimental enchantments later, she created just that. One by one, over the course of many weeks, she tucked each and every scroll she owned into the folds and loops of her Spellkeeper belt. Unfortunately, the scrolls never seemed to come out of the belt in the same order she put them in. In her opinion, this seemed a small price to pay for the peace of mind afforded by a well-organized home. So it grants Spell Cache, which summons a random scroll into the... Okay, so it's like the potion belt that we saw before. It summons a random scroll into our quick slot. Luminous Adra cameo. Oh, this is another figurine, and it summons an Adragon. The relief image carved into this piece of living Adra depicts an Adragon in profile. The stone has remarkable clarity and shows no signs of corruption. Oh, that's cool. We have Lengrath's martial masteries. We met Lengrath at the end of the White March expansion. She had 2 bog dragons with her that we did not fight. We have Gwyn's Bridal Garter. Gwyn, having fled her wedding, planned to sail as far away from her old life as possible. With not a coin in her name, she was forced to trade the few items of value she had. With her wedding band, she secured passage to Adair. At the urging of the kind bosun, she traded her necklace and earrings for a private cabin. The cook accepted her handkerchief in exchange for a few extra rations. Every item Gwyn traded felt like a weight falling from her shoulders, a weight she gave up on gladly. When the ship made port, Gwyn gifted this lace band to the first person she met on the docks, wishing him safe travels. The Orlan mariner was received as who received it was delighted, if perplexed. He wore it around his waist for many safe, successful voyages, never forgetting the hopeful face of the young woman who gave it to him. Oh, I like that. +1 Constitution, resistance to dexterity afflictions. And a Grimoire of Vaporous Wizardry. All right, so I think that will do it for today's session. Thank you, as always, for joining me. We explored the Sacred Stair, and we got through about half of Periki's Overlook, so next session we will continue our exploration of Periki's Overlooked. But, as always, thank you for joining me. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, corrections, clarifications, those kinds of things, and I hope to see you next time for more sentences and paragraphs. Bye, everybody.